viewers, this is Kasturi Day. Today I'm going to start a new chapter of biology. Uh, It is of class 9 syllabus, ICSE syllabus, class 9. Okay, so let me start with the flower chapter. Okay, and before I start, I will request you to please do subscribe my channel and stay tuned with me so that you can get the notification as soon as the uh, new video is uploaded. For that you need to ring the notification bell also. Okay, and if you are liking the video, press the like button, share with your friends so that they can also be benefited from these videos. And don't forget to meditate before you start your day. Okay, so let us start with the flower chapter. Okay. Now, what is a flower? What is a flower? So in flowering plants, that means a plant which bears flowers. Again, what is flower? Okay, it's the reproduction process is performed by flower. Flower is what? It's the most beautiful and conspicuous part of the plant. It is the reproductive organ, and it's a specialized shoot of the angiospermic plant. Angiospermic plant is those which are which produce flowers. Okay, then seeds. Okay, so those are angiospermic plants. Okay, and in their reproductive processes, the flower makes a great role. Okay, it has a great role because it is a most beautiful and conspicuous part of this type of plants. Okay, now it's a reproductive organ. It's a specialized shoot. Okay, which contains a thalamus, and the floral structures are arranged on the thalamus in different ways, which these floral structures are nothing but modified leaves. Okay, and this thalamus is the specialized shoot, end of the terminal shoot, you can say, and which bears the floral structures, that is, those are the modified leaves. So flower is nothing but it's a reproductive organ. It's a specialized shoot of the angiospermic plants. Okay. Next, we come to the different structures which we find in a bisexual flower. Bisexual flower means the flower which has both the male and the female organs of the reproduction. Okay, that is, for in case of plants, the male reproductive organ is known as Angosium, and the female reproductive organ is known as the Diocese. Okay. Now let us start with the structure. Now, first we come the pedicel. Okay. We come to the pedicel, or we can say it's the flower stalk. It supports the flower. This is the stalk which supports the flower. So that's a flower stalk known as pedicel. Okay. Then comes the receptacle. What is the receptacle? It's the tip of the flower stalk, that is the pedicel, which is enlarged to form a cup-shaped structure. It's a receptacle, or you can say thalamus. Both are the same thing. That is, it's a cup-shaped structure or a flat structure, swollen flat structure, which supports the floral leaves. As I told you, the flower is a specialized shoot. So, like their shoot, like the leaves, leaf has a stalk, like that a flower has a stalk, which is known as pedicel, and the leaves are arranged. They are attached to a certain structure. Okay, so yes, it is attached to the pedicel in certain one certain point. So this floral leaves are attached to the pedicel, where the tip of the pedicel has become enlarged, or it has formed a cup-shaped structure known as thalamus or receptacle. Okay. Now, on this receptacle or on this thalamus, floral whorls are arranged. Okay, floral leaves are arranged in whorls, and that's why they are known as floral whorls. Okay. Now, the first floral whorl, there are generally 4 floral whorls present. Okay. That's a complete flower which has a rather typical flower has all the 4 floral whorls. Okay. Now the first whorl consists of the calyx, or you can say sepals. Okay. So calyx is a collective of the sepals. Collectively, the sepals are called calyx. Okay. So it is the sepals which are arranged on on the first floral wall, okay, the outer part of the flower, and these sepals are generally green or green in color, and they are leaf-like structures, okay, which engulfs, which encloses the bud, rather encloses the bud of the flower. Okay. Now the second wall. After the first wall, we go towards inside of the flower. So the first wall is the outer wall. Then we come to the second wall, which is just inside of the first wall, and that is of the petals. And collectively, they are known as corolla. Right? Now, these corolla, the petals which are form this corolla, these are generally brightly colored. So they can attract the insects and other animals so that they can come by the, they're attracted by these brightly colored petals, and they can help in pollination. Okay. Next, we come to the third wall, okay, which is inside the second wall. This is of the male reproductive organ of the plants, okay, that is known as Angosium, which consists of the stamens. The male reproductive organ unit is stamen, and this one collectively the stamens are known as Angosium. Okay, the stamens consist of long filament, thread-like filaments, on which on the tip of the stamens there is a structure, bilobed structure, which is known as anther-lobes. Okay, these anther-lobes, they contain what? Anther, they contain anther, okay, which help in pollination. Okay, now that's the male reproductive structure, the male reproductive organ, which stays inside these anther lobes. Okay, next we come to the fourth wall, the innermost wall. The innermost wall of a flower, which is known as gynosium, or it can be called as the carpel or pistil, okay, which has three parts. Okay, the basal part, the lowermost part, is slightly distended, slightly swollen, okay, which is known as the ovary. Then above the ovary, there's a tube-like structure, which is known as the style, the middle portion, that is the style. And the uppermost part of the style is slightly thickened. Sometimes it's hairy, feathery, and it's sticky also, okay, which is known as the stigma, which will receive the pollen grains, okay. The pollen grains are received by the stigma, and they forms the pollen tube inside this style to reach the ovary to get fertilized and forming a fruit. Okay. So this is the structure of a flower. See, as I told you, this is the pedicel. Okay. Then comes the receptacle. Okay. This is not the receptacle. This is the receptacle. There's a mistake in the diagram. So this is the receptacle where all the floral walls are attached to. Okay, so these two green colored leaf-like structures, they are the sepals. Okay, then comes this is the first wall of the flower. Then the second wall is the brightly colored, red colored here. It's the corolla or the petals. Okay, these attract the insects, as I told you, insects and other animals to help in pollination. Then come the Angosium or the stamens, which consist of a filament. This is the thread-like filaments, which has the bilobed anthers, and which contains the pollen grains. Okay. Then come the middle portion, the innermost wall, or is the gynosium or the pistil or carpel, you can say, which consists of the swollen basal portion, which is the ovary containing the ovules where the seeds are arranged inside. Okay, the ovules convert them inside, when mature, they form the seeds, and ovary when mature, they form the fruit. Okay, so this swollen portion is the ovary, Then this whole portion is attached to the tube-like structure known as the style, and the style, uh, its above portion, the uppermost portion of the style, that is flattened and thickened, or sometimes it is hairy or feathery structure with sticky nature, which receives the pollen grains. These are called, this type of structure is known as stigma. And altogether, stigma, style, and ovary forms the pistil. Clear? Next, we come to complete and incomplete flowers. Now, first we come to complete flower. What's a complete flower? A flower which has all the four walls present in a, it has all the four walls present in it. Okay, so that is a complete flower. That is calyx, corolla, Angosium, and Gynoecium. All the four walls are present. Then it is known as a complete flower. If any one of the set, in one set or more set of the four walls are missing, then it is an incomplete or imperfect flower. Like complete flower is also known as perfect flowers, whereas incomplete flowers are maybe, it can be called as incomplete or imperfect flower. Okay. Now, what are the essential parts of a flower? Essential parts of a flower are generally those parts which are directly concerned with the reproduction. Okay, like the stamens and the carpels. Okay, they are known as reproductive parts because they are the male and the female reproductive part, which produces the male and the female gamete. Okay, so these essential parts are the stamens and the carpels, or you can say Angosium and Gynoecium. And the non-essential parts are those which protect these essential parts, like the calyx, the corolla, the thalamus. All these are accessory parts, or you can say non-essential parts. Okay. They are not directly concerned with the reproduction, but they help to protect the reproductive parts or make the flower attractive for pollination. Now, in some cases, what happens, we know, I have told you that the sepals, then comes the petals, then the stamens, then the pistil. Then what happens, in some cases, there is some modifications. Okay, like sepals and petals, they cannot be differentiated. So they are known as tepals. Neither sepals, neither nor petals, and therefore they are known as tepals. Okay, and they collectively they are known as perianth. Okay, like sepals collectively we call calyx, petals to be collectively called as corolla. Like that, tepals are collectively called as perianth. Okay, now when the perianth are green in color, like the sepals, then they are known as sepaloid perianth. Sepaloid perianth. When the perianth is non-green or brightly colored like petals, then they are known as petaloid perianth because they look like petals. So petaloid, petaloid, oid means similar to. So petal, it's similar to the petals. Perianth similar to the petals. That's why it's known as petaloid perianth. Okay, clear? Like that, a sepaloid perianth, that means it resembles the sepals. So therefore, the perianth which resembles the sepals, therefore known as sepaloid perianth. Clear? Next, we move on to the picture. See, this is the perfect flower where there are all the whorls present. See, this is the sepal, this is the petals, these are the petals, then the Angosium, that is the stamens and the carpels. Okay. This is a perfect flower. Now, imperfect flower means one whorl or one or more whorls missing. So here we do not find the stamens. So that's an incomplete flower or imperfect flower. Here, the carpel is missing. There is the pistil is missing. Therefore, it is also an imperfect flower. Here, see, the floral parts, they are divided into two parts. That is non-essential and essential parts. So, non-essential parts are calyx and corolla. And calyx unit is sepal, corolla unit is petals. But whereas essential parts are divided into two parts, androecium and gynoecium. Androecium's unit is stamens, gynoecium unit is carp. Clear? Next is essential floral parts. Here again, the picture is there. That is androecium, gynoecium, non-essential parts. Receptacle, sepal, petal. Receptacle also comes under the non-essential part. Okay. Next, we move on to bracts. Now, what are bracts? Bract is a modified, a specialized leaf. Like flower is a modified, a specialized shoot. Okay, so bract is a modified, a specialized leaf, usually associated with a reproductive structure like a flower. It looks like a flower. Okay, its inflorescence axis or a cone scale. It looks as reproductive structure. It is associated with reproductive structure like flower, inflorescence axis, or a cone scale. Now, bracts are often, but not always, they're distinct from the leaves of the foliage. That is, the vegetable leaves. Okay, that is the foliage leaves, the leaves which do not transform into flowers. So those type of leaves and the floral leaves, they can be differentiated. Or the bracts and the leaves which do not grow into flowers. So those leaves and the bracts, they can be easily distinguishable. But sometimes it's not always. Okay. The actual flower in this case is small. What happens? The actual flower in this case becomes small, somewhat cylindrical and attached on the inner side of the bract, like this. See, this is the picture. You can see the second picture. See the bracts, they have grown like leaves, brightly colored floral leaves. Okay, with petals they have grown. The actual flowers are very small. White flowers, these are very small. The actual flower is small, but the bracts, they have become floral-like, flower-like. Now, okay, the next is example, Euphorbia pulcherrima, Euphorbia pulcherrima, or you can say poinsettia and bougainvillea. These two are the examples. Both of these have large colorful bracts surrounding much smaller, less colorful flowers. The flowers are not so colorful, neither they are too big, but their bracts are large, colorful. Okay. What is the function? They generally protect the flower from pests and harsh weather. Okay. So that's why they have grown, the bracts have grown so beautiful, so flower-like, so colorful, so that they can protect the actual flower from pests and harsh weather. Okay. Protect the flower from pests. Next, we come to some nectaries. Now, what is nectaries? Nectaries are small secretory structures. They secrete what? They secrete nectar, from which the bees, the honey bees, they collect the nectar and form honey. Okay? So these are small secretory structures often found at the base of the stamens. At the base of the stamens, these nectaries are found. Nectaries are nectar producing glands, you can say. They provide food for the insects like honeybees and bird pollinators by drawing animal visitors into contact with the pollen to be transferred. Okay. When the animal visits the flower, they attract those animals towards their towards the flower, and when they visit them, the pollen grains, they get attached to their body and they help in pollination. The most flowers, they secrete only a relatively small amount of nectar. Very small amount of nectar they are secreted by the flowers, which increases cross-pollination since animals must visit several flowers in order to receive a food. So the animals, what do? They not only visit only one flower to get the nectar, because these flowers, they secrete very small amount of nectar, and this does not fill up the stomach of the insects or the animals. Okay, so these animals, they have to visit lots of flowers, and what do when they are visiting their these flowers? The pollen grains get attached to their body, and when they visit another flower, they fall to the stigma of another flower, helping in the cross-pollination. Okay. The nectar, what is nectar? Nectar is a sugar-rich liquid produced by the nectaries or the nectar-producing glands. Okay. So the nectar-producing glands, they produce some sugar-rich liquid, which is known as nectar. Okay. The example very prominent in Nasturtium. Okay. So this is the nectary. You can see from this flower, this is the nectary. Okay. Here the nectars are, the nectar is produced. Okay. See from the here the picture, the nectar is here. And when the insects or the animal get inside to take the nectar, this Angosium, the anthers, they get attached, the pollen grains attached to the body, and when they visit another flower, they drop the pollen grain on the stigma and thereby pollinating the flower. Now, sexuality in flowers. What do you mean by sexuality? That is the flowers having male and female components of the for reproduction. Components for reproduction. Okay. So the flowering plants, they're generally hermaphrodite or bisexual in nature. Okay, that is, they both have the male reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ producing the male gamete and the female gamete. Okay, like hibiscus, then rose, lily, tomato, all of them are bisexual flowers. Okay, that the anthers of the stamens produce pollen which form the male cells or the male gametes. The pollen grains, they produce what? The male cells or the male gametes. The ovary of the carpel, they bear the ovule, which encloses what? The egg cell or the female gamete. The egg cell is talking about the female gamete, which is enclosed in the ovary, which bears the ovule. Okay. The flowers that has only stamens or only carpels, they are unisexual. They're not bisexual, or you can say incomplete or imperfect flower. Like papaya, palm, only the male portion, male reproductive organ, or only the female reproductive organ. Okay. Now, a unisexual flower which has only the stamens, that is only the male reproductive organ, they are known as male flower or staminate flower because they only have stamens. Okay. And the unisexual flower which contains only the carpels, then they are known as female flowers, or can say pistillate flower. Only the pistil is present. There are certain flowers which do not have both of them, neither the stamens nor the carpels. So those flowers are known as sessile or sterile, or sorry, not sessile, it's sterile or neutral flowers. Okay. Like the ray florets of the sunflower, they are pistillate, but they are sterile. That is, the pistil does not function. So that's why the ray florets are the sunflower, they are sterile flowers or neutral flowers. You see, this is the bisexual flower picture. First picture, structure of a bisexual flower. See, this has both the reproductive organs, that is the male reproductive organ, the stamens, and the carpel is present. Okay. Now, this is just below that is the staminate flower and the pistillate flower. So the staminate flower, which contains the stamens only, and the pistillate flower, only the pistil, no stamens. Okay. Next, we move on to the bisexual flower. See, both the things are there, male part and the female plant. Here, staminate flower, only the stamens are there. Pistillate flower, only the pistil is there. And the neutral flowers is the ray florets, which has only the carpel, but it does not function. So that is why it is known as neutral flower. Okay. Now the general description of the floral parts. We move on to the general description. First, we move on to the sepals. Floral parts, first part is known as sepals. Okay, and it is collectively known as calyx, which resemble both, which resemble the leaves due to the green color, as they are green in color. So they resemble the leaves. Okay. From their base and along most of the length, sepals remains either separate or they are fused. So when their sepals are separate throughout their length, so that is known as polycephalus or aposepalous. Apo or polycephalus flowers are those flowers which have their sepals separate throughout. Okay. When they are marginally fused, when the sepals are marginally fused to some extent, and then after that they are free. So those forming a tube-like structure with the terminal lobes or teeth or totally fused. When they are marginally fused, they are known as synsepalous. Synsepalous. Okay. S-Y-N, synsepalous. And when they are totally fused, they are gamosepalous. Total tube-like structure. The sepals totally form a tube-like structure. Or sometimes synsepalous when they some portion is fused and the upper portion is free, forming a teeth-like structure. Okay. Terminal lobes are teeth-like structure. So that is synsepalous. Next is the number of calyx lobes equals the number of fused connate sepals. Okay, so the number of calyx lobes that equals to the number of fused sepals. So fused sepals are known as connate sepals. So that equals the calyx lobes. Okay. The sepals enclose. What is the function of the sepals? They enclose and protect the unopened flower in the bud. Okay. Now the calyx is commonly more persistent than corolla. What happens when the flower grows matured into fruit? Okay. So that time also we sometimes see the calyx present. So that's why calyx is more persistent than corolla and Angosium and evident when the fruit matures. I told you when the fruit matures, then also we can find the calyx present, but the corolla and Angosium drops off. So that's why calyx is more persistent than corolla and Angosium. Like Parsimon, then Diospyros, Virginia, and Ebenetia. Okay. Then sepals might be brightly colored and they might function like petals. Okay, when true petals are missing, when the true petals are missing, the sepals they can be modified into petals by becoming brightly colored. Okay, so that time, like for example, Virgin's Bower, Clematis, Ranunculaceae, and the Bougainvillea, where petaloid sepals differ from tepals, as the first group of stamens are on the same radii as the sepal. That is, petals are absent, actual petals are absent, but they are becoming petaloid sepals. As the sepals are brightly colored, so it becomes petal-like. So petaloid sepals, okay, which normally be positioned on alternating radii in the next floral wall. Okay, so they are present in the. They should be present in one wall, but they are generally present in the next floral wall, like the petals. Then sometimes there are second series of sepals. Okay, so one is they are becoming petal-like. But another case there appears that there are a second series of sepals. Okay, one wall is there. That time what happens? It becomes like 5 whorls are there. So extra whorl of sepals is known as episepals, or you can say collectively they are known as epicalyx. Okay, like here you can see the epicalyx are there. Then sepals are as green perform, as they are green, they perform photosynthesis. Okay, as the sepals are green, they perform photosynthesis. Function is the main function. Okay. Like here in the sea, they are gamosepalous. The sepals are totally fused. Here, some portion is fused, but the upper portion is free. So they are known as syncarpous. Then not syncarpous, synsepalous. Then polycephalus, total sepals are free here. Here, see, so gamosepalous and polycephalus. Okay, here the sepals are petal-like, brightly colored. Therefore, they are known as petaloid sepals. Clear? Let me stop here. I'll continue with the rest of the chapter. Little bit is left, petals, and then some inflorescence chapter, petals and other 3 whorls. Other 2 whorls are there. So I'll continue with the rest of this chapter in my next video. Till then, please go through this. If you have any doubt, any questions, any thing you want to know besides this syllabus, okay, you can always write in the comment box, or if you want, you can access my email ID, that is kasturi74@gmail.com. Please to subscribe my channel before leaving. I would request you, and stay tuned with me and ring the notification bell, so that when as soon as new video is uploaded, you will get the notification. And if you're liking the video, press the like button, share with your friends, and also don't forget to meditate before starting your day. Okay? Thank you so much, and have a good day.